the CIA is constantly pushing the envelope of legality, and they just wait for somebody to push back. And the reason why the Russians haven't agreed to substantive talks brokered by Donald Trump is that they're winning, so that it is now legal for the American government to propagandize the American people. Every one of them has seen something, some ship. Sometimes they're coming out of the water. That I probably shouldn't comment on. Been adamant from the beginning, I do not think he was murdered.
Oh,
No,
okay. Okay.
no. I believe he committed suicide.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of him being the claims that are increasingly emerging about him being an intelligence asset, what are your
That's another thing that I've been very consistent over. I have said from the very beginning that I believed he was an Israeli access agent, and that's been borne out. And
Mhm.
not only was he an Israeli access agent, he appears to have at least volunteered to work with CIA, FBI, MI5, MI6, the Germans. He reached out repeatedly to the Russians. So, yeah, I think he was probably an intelligence broker, but I believe he was under the control of the Israelis.
How exactly does this, I mean, I don't know how much you can go into here, but how does the process of attaining and utilizing an intelligence asset like this work?
We would need half a day to talk about it, but an access agent, the Israelis are not going to recruit Bill Clinton or Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. So they do the next best thing. They recruit somebody who's close to those people, like Jeffrey Epstein. And you give him plenty of money, and he buys this giant house on a private island, and he wires every single room, including the bathrooms, for audio and video. And then you invite your friends to come and have sex with children and to get them into compromising positions. You record everything that they say, you report it back to your handlers, and just in case they object, well, you've got this video putting them in these compromising positions.
Do you think that this leverage, I suppose, is another reason why Western states are so cautious to criticize Israel?
Probably not.
Okay.
I think really it's the money in politics.
Hmm.
Um, I think this was more of a purely intelligence operation.
Okay. Okay. And I've heard talk as well that he's got moderately strong links to the CIA.
No,
And
he no, he repeatedly volunteered to work with the CIA. There's no evidence that the CIA ever responded. And then a couple of years before his death, he had his attorney reach out to the CIA asking, through the Freedom of Information Act, to to receive some kind of confirmation that he had been trying to work with the CIA. And there was no response to that either.
okay, so there's no evidence that he actually worked with them or
No.
okay, interesting. And back to I don't want to linger on this too long, but back to the idea that he wasn't murdered and that he indeed committed suicide. I mean, there's lots of conspiracy theories and these things in this area. What makes you certain that he did commit suicide?
Because I've served in prison. I know what American prisons are like. All the guards have their heads up their asses, number one. They're supposed to walk around every 15 minutes and make sure that everybody is okay. They don't because they're in the guard booth, either sound asleep or masturbating, looking at porn, or surfing the internet, or on the phone with their girlfriends. So they don't walk around. In the case of Epstein, it was 2 hours before they walked around rather than every 8 minutes. The cameras never work. There are cameras everywhere. They're just not connected to anything. So people are like, oh my God, the camera, there's this glitch. Yeah, the camera's reset every 24 hours and they tape over the previous 24 hours. So the handful of cameras that work actually reset themselves. You're looking at a guy who was going to spend the rest of his natural life in prison. Period. It doesn't matter that he had his own island or the widest townhouse in Manhattan or $1 billion or fancy friends in important positions. He was going to die on a steel prison bunk after spending every day of the rest of his life in prison. Who wouldn't rather be dead?
Hmm. I suppose
So,
especially when he's come from the lifestyle that he was living before with the wealth and the.
exactly right.
Mhm. Okay, okay, well that's interesting.
I
Um,
spoke with his brother
mhm.
a couple of weeks ago, right after this stupid AI generated picture came out of him just walking down the street in Tel Aviv with three bodyguards. And some of my friends in independent journalism ran with this, saying, "Oh my God, it's the proof. He lived. He escaped from the prison. It was a no, you morons. It's AI. It's obviously AI. He's not just walking down the street." So I spoke with his brother. His brother identified the body. His brother accompanied the body to the crematorium. He's dead. And we can have the argument over whether or not he committed suicide or was murdered. I believe he committed suicide, but he's dead.